Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Reality Right After. My name is Wellington Gomez. For those of you who do not know, I am the host of this podcast where we talk all things reality TV and much more. So I took a break from this a little bit because it's been a rough couple of weeks for me, but we're back here. There's so much to talk about, and specifically so much things in the Bravo universe that we need to talk about. So I'm very excited to just get on here and talk. First things first, I wanted to really talk about this NeNe Leaks interview that came out. Of course, you guys know that NeNe Leaks recently sat down with Carlos King to talk about all things the Real Housewives of Atlanta, her departure from the show, her suing Bravo and other people, and many more things. However, you already know that Carlos is smart. Carlos is gonna make a coin, and Carlos is about his money, and he's a smart man in media. So he made sure to divide the interview not to divide the interview in two parts. So not only are you getting one episode, you're getting two episodes. And of course, the juicy. I mean, part one was really juicy. Don't get me wrong. Like part one was truly really good. I really enjoyed it. Very telling. Some people feel like NeNe was lying about a lot of things, and some people feel like NeNe was telling the truth about a lot of things. To me, at the end of the day, it's like she said, this is her story, her recollection of things, and we kind of have to respect the fact that this is her recollection. Her recollection might not be the right recollection or the truth, but it's her story, and we're all entitled to tell our story. And yeah, so I really liked part one. It had nothing to do about, her suing Bravo or anything like that, which is why I feel more inclined to talk about it. She really talked about the cultivating years of Roa, the beginning years of Roa, her relationships with her children, her relationships with her ex-boyfriend, her relationship with Greg. What else? She talked about her kids' drug abuse and drug addiction. Her older son Brent, who was recently in the news for getting arrested with possession of fentanyl and other things. So, she was really open to a lot of things, and I think that this is the most open that we've seen NeNe about some topics, and it was really interesting. And also shout out to Carlos King for securing this interview because this is truly like a milestone interview, just because, like, let's not act stupid, just because of how big, NeNe is the blueprint when it comes to housewives. She is the housewife. When you think about the Real Housewives, you think about NeNe Leaks. So, to land an exclusive with her this long, amazing. And also shout out to Carlos because he has this thing that I admired about him, where you don't really feel like you're listening to an interview, like a- question answer, question answer, question answer. He really has this thing where he really like makes people feel like it's a safe space for them to just share, and it's so conversational that I really enjoy that about it. And as an interviewer myself, I really look up to Carlos King in the way he handles interviews because it's truly an art. He does it beautifully. So that was another thing that I really enjoyed about the interview. I thought that we could play some things for the interview that she has said, and getting some things. So the first thing that I wanted to play, Chow, of course, um we're gonna go onto the reality rundown for our latest and greatest, because if you're not following the reality rundown, what are you doing? What are you doing? If you're not following the reality rundown, what are you doing? Anyways, at the reality rundown, your number one destination for all things reality TV. So, NeNe Leakes says that she can't ever be real friends with Cynthia Bailey because she knows that Bailey tried to get her fired, allegedly. Let's hear the clip.
I loved Cynthia like she was my sister. We had a great friendship. And I think people watching us probably felt like I may have been more of the leader in the friendship, or I may have been more of something. They just don't know Cynthia.
Mm.
That's
Who
all I
is
say.
Cynthia behind the scenes that you wish people would see?
Right.
Um, Cynthia is quite different than she is, on the scene.
In what way?
Yeah, I think that kid Cynthia
Yeah, like you
is
have to
she's not
explain.
gonna let you run over her. So that's not possible. For people thinking that she's being ran over, or for people thinking that she's quiet, she's very opinionated. She has a lot to say, and she stands up for herself.
Mm.
Why do you think she didn't want to show that in front of the camera if that's who she is?
There's a lot of these girls that come on the show and they don't show who they are. Remember, I made a conscious decision season 1 to just be who I am, right? And some of these girls come on and they just, I don't know, they play with their head. They're like, I don't want to be seen that way, or my family would die if I was seen that way, or my husband doesn't want me to do this, or my boyfriend said I can't do that. And so they just create some character. And I just think that Cynthia never wanted people to really see her be, as she liked to say, 50 cents. Okay.
Do you miss Cynthia?
Ooh.
I miss the friendship that we had, because I feel like we had a really good friendship, and I cherish my friendships. And I feel like, it's hard to find really good friends.
This is where it gets real interesting. Listen,
it's unfortunate what happened to our friendship.
But why can't you guys rekindle the friendship?
I don't think that will ever be possible.
Why?
Because I just know some of the things that she has done behind the scenes that I just could never, ever, ever respect. Now I can't respect them, but that doesn't mean I couldn't work with her. I could work with her, but I can't respect some of the stuff that I know.
that was funny to me because one thing about these housewives is that I cannot respect her. I cannot. But I can still get a check. Don't count me out. Like it's I listen, I'm not mad at it. Like at the end of the day, everybody has to get to the bag, everybody has to do their thing. And when you become a reality, sorry, I'm trying to detangle my charger because my computer is about to die. I'm not mad at it because at the end of the day, we're all here for a check. And when you're a reality TV star, like you are very, in a way, limited to the things that you can do, as a career. And you don't want to let producers, showrunners, networks know that you are hard to work with, or that you are not interested to work with other heavy hitters in your industry, because your name is in conversations, that your name is in rooms, your name is being mentioned. What's that saying? Your name is being mentioned in rooms that you're not even in. Yeah, that's what it is. Your name is being mentioned in rooms that you are not even in. So you don't want to go on a press run and say how much you hate another person, especially another person that you can, really see yourself working again with, because showrunners, producers, etc. might see that and, not bring you in because they really want the other person. I don't know. I don't know. But what I'm saying is that that's why you see so many of the girls, whenever they talk bad about another housewife, they always say, but I could work with her. I could work with her, because they don't want that check to be cut. Anyways, let's keep going.
For certain that she did.
Did she try to stop your bag?
As much as she was on camera saying I'm trying to stop hers, she was definitely trying to stop mine.
From Bravo?
Of course, from Bravo. I know a lot of things she did, honey.
Like,
she was in an alliance too, honey.
With producers or housewives?
She was in an alliance with housewives and behind the scene with producers and network.
To get you off the show?
I believe she tried. I think she had a hand in trying to get it done.
Really?
Absolutely.
But how would that benefit her?
I don't know. I think that some of these girls, they feel like maybe if they do certain things, maybe they'll stay on the show longer, maybe they'll get other opportunities. But for me, I feel like where I think these group of girls go wrong at is if we all stuck together and held hands together so that we can all work and all eat together, we would all be better together. I feel like
He
trying to
has a
push this
point.
person off the show and push that person off of the show. Obviously, when we go places, people ask us, who do you think should be on the show? Or who do you think shouldn't be on the show? And we all give our opinions. I mean, and we have the right to do that. But that's not saying I don't want the show to be successful and I don't want you to be successful. I might just be saying, I don't think you're doing what you should be doing on the show. Because we know together, like who comes on the show and who's really doing something, who's really trying to put an event together, who's really trying to push the show forward. You guys have a lot of girls who are lacking, but the audience don't know that kind of stuff. They're just looking at the show like, oh, we like her and NeNe's against her. This one is against this one. It's just not like that. But yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised to hear that because the thing is, she and you did have a real friendship, and I remember y'all calling me when Kenya had the masquerade ball, and you were like, "Carlos, she tried to play me. It was you and Cynthia on the three with me. Should you go? Should you not go?" And you did show up to the masquerade ball. You said this epic line of, "It's amazing how many friends I have and don't even know about it."
Of course. Still today, I know that.
Okay, so let's talk about that. NeNe is claiming that Cynthia made an alliance with other cast members and producers of the show to get her fired from the show. I want you guys to let me know if you guys believe that first. I want to know what my listeners think because that's very important to me. So, if you believe what NeNe is saying that Cynthia colluded, you guys would you guys you guys will know soon why that's a funny word. But if you guys believe that Cynthia colluded with other cast members and producers to get NeNe fired, let me know down in the comments, please. Also, do I believe that? I believe that the Real Houses of Atlanta got real shady towards season 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, the show was growing in a way that it was so exponential. So many of the girls were becoming household names, not only on Bravo, but across pop culture. And this show fastly became the hottest ticket in town if you lived in Atlanta and you were a black woman. You were on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, you made it. And I think that because it became such a coveted space to be a part of, some of the girls that were in it protected that space and their position in that space very, very carefully, to the point that if they felt like you threatened their position, they were willing to threaten your position back. And I think that's what happened. I think that Cynthia felt like NeNe was gonna take her out, and in return, NeNe felt like Cynthia was going to take her out. There was retaliation on both hands, and both parties, are hurting. I'm recording this on Wednesday. This interview dropped Monday, and I'm recording this on Wednesday, July 26th at 5 p.m. Tonight, Cynthia is on Two T's in a Pod with Teddy, and Teddy is asking her everything about, this interview and what NeNe was claiming. So I'm going to be listening to that, and I'll be back here to let you guys know what I think about that, and just report on it. So make sure that you guys tune back to Reality right after. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. But yeah, that's what I think happened. I think that they probably both tried to get each other off the show, because also, let's not forget that Cynthia claims that NeNe tried to get her off the show and NeNe tried to get her booted. So I feel like they both probably did. I don't know who did it first. I wasn't there, but I think they both did, and they both retaliated against each other because they both thought that the other was going to take the other out. That's what I believe. It's messy though. It's real messy because Cynthia and NeNe were such a duo of RHOA that we will always, cherish. And I think their duo, their friendship goes down as one of the most iconic friendships in Real Housewives history. So it's so sad to see two best friends end this way. It really is. It really is, because it's a show at the end of the day. And I understand, at the beginning of the interview, NeNe really, she made sure to explain that the reason why she's so attached to RHOA is because she shot the pilot to the show and shopped it around before this was even picked up by Bravo. Like she was connected to this when it was just an idea on paper, and she saw it out, and she made it what she made it to be, and it became a cultural phenomenon. So that's why she's very invested and connected emotionally and personally to the show. And I understand that. Like, I can understand, those feelings. So when you see someone that's not doing what you think they're supposed to be doing, I can understand you feeling like that space could be better used. I also agree with the fact that, housewives, if you're listening, your biggest competition is not the person next to you. Your biggest competition is another show. Stop worrying about your castmate and if she's gonna shine more than you. You are in an ensemble cast. We don't care about you individually, because if we did, you will have your own show and we will all watch it. But you don't. You are in a cast of friends. You guys all need to come together at the beginning of seasons and discuss how you guys are all going to make a season great. You're letting these beefs and these you know versus, one side versus another side, cut too deep and get too serious to the point that you're not even trying to film around another. And I'm only going to mention this because I'm going to be doing another episode on everything Jersey, so make sure that you are tuned in for another episode. I saw a little article that said that Margaret was not trying to film with Louis. Margaret, you're going to ruin the show. You're going to ruin the show, because at the end of the day, if Teresa's coming back, then Louis is going to come back, and we want to see that. We want to see that. We want to see you guys interacting. The show needs to keep going. Stop trying to kill the show with your own personal situations. You don't want to film with Louis, then leave. But if you want to stay on the show, then show up and film. This is what you signed up for. And that is truly my advice to all of the housewives that are listening. Don't try to take the next person next to you out. Work together to make the show better. It's that easy. Let's see. Okay, so another thing that she said was that NeNe Leakes says, and of course, we're back at the reality rundown with this one. NeNe Leakes says Kenya and Portia were great additions to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and that the show needs Kenya. So, NeNe definitely was super shady in this interview, but she said some other things that were actually positive. She said that the veterans Kenya Moore and Portia Williams, who both joined the Real Housewives of Atlanta at the same time, she gave them their flowers. She said that Kenya and Portia were great additions to the show. They brought something different. They brought a fresh new energy, and that the show needs Kenya. And I agree with that. Kenya Moore is a veteran of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and the show needs Kenya in order to exist. It's just sad because while the show needs Kenya, Kenya also needs other people that are carrying the ball just like she is. And it doesn't matter to have a good player in a team that's whack. If the rest of the team is whack, one good player is not going to make the difference. And that's a misuse of a good player. And that's the truth. So In order for the entire show to be good, the entire cast needs to be good. And in order for Kenya, who's a legendary housewife, to be activated and show up the way we really know that Kenya can show up, because let me tell you something, Kenya has not been showing up the way that we know Kenya can show up. The Kenya that we're seeing in season 15 is not the Kenya that we saw in season 6, season 7 and 8. So if you want Kenya to be activated, you need to pair Kenya with people that are going to activate her. I'm not saying that the current girls are not doing their job. What I'm saying is that it's not enough. It's not enough. And it's so sad because I know that these girls are really they're doing their best, because this season is way better than the last. But I don't know. Because the thing is, it's like, do we want to kill the Real Houses of Atlanta? Is that what we want to do? If we don't, then let's get it right and bring the people that you know are going to bring the ratings and that are going to shake the table. And that's all I'm gonna say. I wanted to read some of the comments that you guys dropped on the reality rundown about, NeNe Leakes saying positive things about Kenya and Portia. At mulatto papi _1 says, she said no lies, LMAO, Kenya is Real Houses of Atlanta, of course. At Nep says, she says it changed and she was confused on Kenya's antics and blah 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 blah, but she is a great addition to the show. Huh? What kind of backhanded compliment is that? Okay, I want to actually address that. So for the people that didn't understand that, like, honestly, you need to get your head out of like wanting to create drama out of anything. She never said that Kenya was the one that brought antics and fake storylines to the show. She said that when Kenya joined, these things started happening that season. And the only reason why she mentioned Kenya's name is because she's not really like knowledgeable of the season. So she's basically saying, when I noticed that these new girls started coming around, I noticed that production wise, all of these things were also, changing, according to NeNe. So, and then she continued to say, but she is a great addition to the show. They are both. And the show needs them. So I didn't like that online. You guys were trying to make it seem like it was a backhanded compliment. It wasn't a backhanded compliment. It wasn't a backhanded and it wasn't. Like, please don't do that. Don't start stuff that it's so unnecessary. Why she's still worried about that TV show? She must be missed it. At BJ1964. First of all, if you're gonna write a comment, please make sure that your grammar is correct. Please, honey. But yeah, she does miss it. I think listen, if she's talking about it, she misses it. You're right. Love this. Ooh, great. Okay. So then this is where it got interesting to me. NeNe Leakes says,
but I think Sheree is fun. Mm-hmm. When she wants to be. We've had a good time together. She's a Capricorn. I'm a Sagittarius. We always have gotten along, in the past before the cameras ever started rolling. Once the cameras started rolling, our friendship just became nothing.
Are you surprised that 15 years later, Sheree is the last standing OG on the show?
I don't know about the last standing. She's the last one that could get on the show.
Girl.
And so, I mean, there was nowhere else to go. I mean, it's the people that were the stars of the show, were literally me and Kim Zolciak. And
you don't think NeNe, Kim, and Sheree were the stars?
I think Sheree played her role or played her part in the show. I think I just don't think the network or the production company really valued her that much. They felt like we don't really need her that much. I mean, she's not the most exciting person in the world, but she has her little, parts that she do on the show that's whatever. But I think she.
I crack myself up because NeNe is just so funny. So yes, NeNe Leakes is saying that Sheree Whitfield was not valued by the network and production company in the past, and that's she says that Kim Sosiak and her were the stars of the show. Do you agree with this? Okay, so the commentators on the reality rundown are saying at Catalea Rose says, perfectly said, Nini's telling the truth. At Janae 5020 says, no, Sheree was never one of the stars of the show. When she left, no one missed her and didn't understand why they brought her back, honestly. I mean, listen, let me address this now. Was Sheree a star of the Real Houses of Atlanta? Yes, she was. She was. She went on Wendy Williams promoted it just like you guys, it was Sheree, NeNe, and Kim. NeNe thinks that she wasn't, but I, as a viewer, think that it was Sheree, NeNe, and Kim. Not in that order, of course, but it was the three of them. And when Sheree left the show, I wasn't mad that Sheree left the show because it kind of did feel like she kind of overplayed her hand and overplayed her space in that cast. But I am not mad that Sheree is back. I think that this is the best that I've seen Sheree in a very long time, and I really like where her life is at now. And she translates better on camera, and she is a whole nother person on camera now that her life is much better. So yeah, Sheree deserves to be on this show. This is definitely the house that NeNe built, but Sheree lived in it and she cleaned it. You know, so don't do Sheree. Don't do Sheree as if she didn't add anything. Again, this is the house that NeNe built, but Sheree threw a brick or two. She put up the windows. She bought some furniture, even if it was IKEA, but she bought it. Oh Lord. So Sheree actually responded to NeNe because NeNe, said that this is the house that she built. And Sheree basically said, our house, the beauty of an ensemble cast. Which to then NeNe responded and said, let's not forget that Andy Cohen told ya this is the house that NeNe built. Remember, he posted it on Twitter. Go Google it. Sheree was never there long enough. Oh, and I referred Sheree to be on the show. Okay, bye. I think, listen, Sheree is right. And NeNe is right too. That's the only way that I could explain it. Sheree is right and NeNe is right too. Honestly. That was part one of the how do you call it? Of the interview. And part two is when she gets into all things Bravo and her suit and all of the other stuff. So yeah, very interesting, very interesting, very interesting interview. Let me know what you guys thought about this interview. I really want to know. Um, Shout out to Carlos King again, friend of the Reality Rundown. We're going to be covering this interview. Our team is on it. Carlos, thank you so much for even just providing us really great content because this was very entertaining, and this was also something that we needed. So thank you so much. And thank you to all of my listeners for always listening, always tuning in. Make sure that you are subscribed to our channel at the Reality Rundown and subscribe to this podcast, Reality Right After. You can hear us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you want to look at us and watch us, you can go on the Reality Rundown YouTube page at the Reality Rundown. Make sure that you follow the Reality Rundown on Instagram and on Twitter for the latest and greatest of reality TV. Bye. Love you.